But I'll tell you though, I will tell you though, the combine isn't football. The combine is a great place to go. Look here. I think the combine is more important for the networking, the after hours things that occur amongst those who are there between the scouts, the GMs, the coaches, the executives, any owners who decide to pull up. I think what happens amongst them in the after hours is much more important than what happens out there in Lucas Oil Stadium. Don't get me wrong. I think the combine is important for players to go out there to boost their draft status or tank it. We'll see. I think that scouts and executives can gather valuable information about those guys out there. But I think if you're living and dying by what you consume at the combine, you're wrong. I think that you should trust your film study. You should trust your research. You should trust your scouts more than you trust somebody taking an open book test. The way you perform on a pop quiz should hold much more weight than how you perform on an open book test, because the combine is an open book test. After football season is over, those who are going to the combine, those who have declared for the draft, they train for the combine. They train for their 40s, their broad jumps, their bench, their interviews. You name it, they train for it. And that's not football. But what I will tell you is the combine will sometimes amplify what you see on film or validate what you see on film. You see a guy who plays fast and he gives you a good 40, a good 3-cone, a good short shuttle. You go, okay, yeah, I'm seeing his speed. I'm seeing his quickness. You see a guy who's strong. You watch him lift. You go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You see a guy who's explosive. You see that broad jump. You go, okay, that makes sense. Now, when you see a John Ross out there, you should go, whoa. We know he was fast, but he's the fastest guy here, but his film doesn't add up with the speed. You know, you look at Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. They didn't have some of the best 40s, but they had real good 3-cones. That lets you know, okay, they'll probably be good off the line. They probably run a pretty good route. What does the film tell you? I'm a firm believer in trusting the film more than I trust the combine, because guess what? I played against some guys who played with some guys who were strong, fast, explosive. They look great in a pair of tights. But you get them on the field, they left a lot to be desired. So just because somebody's a workout warrior does not mean that they're a good football player. You've got to trust what you see on the field. You got to trust what your scouts are saying. You got to trust what the coaches are saying. You got to trust what you're getting from those that you interview about those players, and not just fall in love with some stuff you see on the combine. I bigged up DK Metcalf earlier because he's been very productive. But guess what? Coming out of college, people were afraid that DK Metcalf didn't have enough wiggle to run a bunch of routes. And guess what? In his pro career, that's what we've seen. He's fast, he's strong, he's explosive, but he's a go route guy. Cooper Kupp, his film showed that he could do it all. Guess what? He's in the conversation for best receiver in the league. Why? Because he took the player that he was coming out and he grew on that. And the combine showed in many different places that the guy that he's turned into, those traits were there. He just needed to put it all together. CJ 2K worked not only because he was fast as hell, but he had great film. You don't live and die by the combine because it is not football. There are so many things that can't be measured at the combine. You can't measure hey, I can't even think of what I'm thinking. You can't measure leadership. You can't measure if somebody's a lubricant or an agitator. You know, it's with any interview. The person you get in the interview is not the person you get 6 months in. It's not. The combine is the interview. We're going to get put on our best face. Now, if you're not good there, That tells us what we need to know. But if you show up and you do what you're supposed to do and you present yourself properly, all right, that means you're prepared. But that doesn't tell me what I ultimately need to know about you. So, hey, trust the tape, not the combine.